Are you kind without your expectations? I really wanted to do a video on this, right? Because I like to say most of us think that we're pretty kind. It's just, what's the connotation behind your kindness, right? Now, to be fair, I thought I was always kind growing up. But I do realize there was always some kind of like hidden agenda, not on purpose, but it wasn't honestly until I started practicing Buddhism, if I'm being honest with you, to where I really understood what unconditional really meant, right? You know how we all say, oh, we love unconditionally. Sure, there's going to be levels of conditions there until you can get very clear as to why we're kind. So this is going to be a self-analyzation of yourself and the level of kindness. And not just, are you kind? What's your connotation behind it? So I want to give it to you. I want to tell you a few different things. So let's say I am going to give you this really yummy smelling perfume. It's actually Coach, right? So I'm going to give you this, right? If I give it to you brand new, let's say it's not, but let's say it's a $500 bottle. Okay. And I give this to you and you're like, okay, thanks. I appreciate it. But like, you never wear it. You end up regifting it. I don't care. I gave it to you. The moment I go, this is your present, this is your hand, you take this, whatever you do with it from here on out, I'm not going to put any kind of a feeling behind it, or I did this because I wanted to do it. I'm not going to all of a sudden expect you to wear it every day, tell everybody on socials you got it. We're not going to do that. So you have to ask yourself, are you doing things with the need for accolades? Because a lot of times we will do that, right? Especially if that's your love language, right? For so many people, I love to give gifts. It's not my first love language. But I mean, I love gifts. I love getting them. I love receiving them. I love giving them. That's great and fine and all. But like, I just want you to like really be in that space of understanding, are you giving something? And you might see this with other people you give gifts to. You're like, man, I spent money on this, or I was really thoughtful of this. And then they're like, oh, it's your birthday. Here's a gift card. And you go, well, I wasn't thoughtful at all. Well, they didn't have to get you anything. And as we're getting ready to go into this gift giving season that we're getting ready to walk into, at any given time, no one owes you a gift and you don't owe them a gift. And now, if you get them one, by all means, do so because you want to, not because you need the celebration of it, not because you need to get something in return. So and this was just specifically on gifts, but that's a level of kindness, right? If you are going to babysit your friends' kids, okay? Do not bother asking me that. I don't babysit. But let's say you're going to babysit your friends' kids. And you chose to. You gave up your Saturday. You did everything. Cool. Fine. You did that. Didn't want any money. Cool. But like, I don't know, 2-3 weeks from now, you're getting ready to redo the kitchen. You need somebody to come over and you'd like somebody to come over and kind of help you move things around. And you ask your friend, hey, can you come over? It's like, nah, I'm not really feeling it. I think I'm going to stay home. The kids and I are going to go see a movie. You're like, okay. I'm going to say okay, and I don't care. Ask yourself this, are you going to feel some kind of way? Are you going to go, well, I gave up my Saturday. So I can come watch your kids. That's what I did. And you can't give me that? Then you're not being kind to be kind, right? Don't say people take advantage of you, because if you continue to keep giving because you choose to give, that's fine. But if you keep giving with the idea that you're going to buy somebody's love, or you're going to buy somebody and then you're upset that it didn't work out that way, that lets you know exactly where to start with some insecurities, like legit serious. Okay. So this is why so many of us who swear we're kind, and again, the Buddhism helped me because you're not attached to anything and immediately you own nothing. So again, I do something nice for you. It's because I choose to do something nice for you. It isn't because I'm doing something nice for you and then you have to do something in return. Right? Now, there's always a fair exchange of energy. So if you find that, you do a lot of nice things and, you just kind of feel some kind of way, well, that's fine. Then you can say, okay, I'm going to set up a little distance here. I'm going to put a little distance between us. All right. But there's no need. And really, this is a good little indicator that I'd love and be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself, because when you lie to yourself, that's not going to help you. Be honest with yourself. If you give somebody something, okay, and they re-gift it, or they're just like, oh, that's cool, and they set it up on a shelf and it never leaves, why would you get your feelings hurt behind that? Why? Well, I put a lot of effort into it. You chose to give it. You chose to give it. Okay, that's one indicator. Another indicator, if you do something nice, are you secretly, intentionally or unintentionally, keeping score? Not saying you're doing it, you're going, I did that, so I'm going to put this favor right in my pocket. Now, unless you say, hey, I will, but let me tell you, I need help next week. Will you be willing to help me? No. Okay, that's fine. I'm still coming. All right. But you have a right to be like, well, then fine, I'm not going to come. You do have that right. You do. You absolutely have that right. But if you level set it ahead of time, if this, then this, that's fine. But everything shouldn't be a transactional relationship, right? Like if somebody is doing something kind for you and they throw it up in your face, that was never kindness in the first place. That was power. Okay. Well, you didn't check in on me. You didn't ask how I was feeling. You didn't ask how the doctors went. You didn't. Okay. Well, I mean, calm down. Like, just because that might be something you would do, that doesn't mean that everybody else has to. And you may have it in your heart to be a kind human being, for sure. But remember, no one can really take advantage of it unless you keep giving. Because sometimes you keep giving to hope for a different outcome, or you keep giving because you want it to be different, or you keep giving because A, B, C, D, E. Okay. And so I want you to be clear in that, because when you're in that space of saying that you're kind, but then you're keeping score and you did this and you gave this present and you showed up for this recital and you did this for your niece but they didn't do it for your kids, and we're not going to do that. And you'll find that your feelings will be a lot less hurt if you say, am I doing this authentically? Because you may find you don't give as much. That's fine. You may find that you're not as kind or generous with your time. That's okay. But when you do it, be 100% clear that no one has to do it in return. And if you don't like that, then don't do it, right? Then just don't do it, right? But the moment you feel that you have to buy your way into somebody's life, or that if you do this, they must do this. Have a client, and she said that in her family, it was a favor for a favor. Well, again, if you say, I'll do this if you do this, that's fine. But if you say, I'll do this, and then in your back of your mind, and I know you know people like this, all of a sudden they're like, well, don't you remember what I did for you 5 years ago? I know what I did yesterday. And now you're going to say, and then you're like, oh my God, please don't do me any favors. Please do not be nice to me. Because if it's going to come with this scorecard and it's going to come with all of this over the top outlandish things, don't accept it. Don't accept the favor. That's like selling your soul. Like, we're not going to do that. Okay. So I want you to be extremely clear in that, because when you're in that headspace of thinking someone, that you're kind, but then you also want to tell the world that you're kind, right? Like, oh my God, look what I did. I gave like $8 million to charity. Like, there's so many people who just give anonymously, and that's fine to be like, hey, Pat Sajak has a wing over here at the hospital because he gives a lot of money. They dedicated that. I don't think he was like, I'm going to give you this money, put my name on this hospital building. I don't think that that's what he said. I think that was something that they chose to do, but he didn't say, I demand this, and so get clear in that. And I would love for you to go really deep within yourself and say, am I as kind as I thought I am? Like, I want to be. And then if you want to be, you know what to do. The moment though, that you think that this has to happen, if this happens, then you know it's not authentic. You're not doing anything from an authentic perspective. Okay. So be honest with yourself, be clear with yourself. And if someone is like doing they're not kind, but kind things, manipulative things, because they're kind, but then they want something in return. And you know that if they do this, it's going to be a thing. Nicely turn it down, nicely return it. Let them get their feelings hurt. Do not go down with that, because it's going to become extremely problematic. Now you're going to have a problem. Every time you talk to somebody, you're going to be mad. Every time they say these things, you're going to get mad. Oh gosh, we're not going to do that. And then if you want to save not just relationships, but also your own mental sanity, then that's where those boundaries are going to come into play. But the first and foremost thing that you do outside of everybody else is always look at yourself first and say, am I being as authentic in my giving? Am I being authentic in what I'm doing? Or am I being calculated and not necessarily meaning to, but finding some weird way to keep score? So do that and you'll see a lot more growth.